Yeah.
All right, good morning. My name is Chasen Ishii, Chairperson of the Authority. I'd like to now call to order the July 3rd, 2024 Kalaeloa Authority meeting of the Hawaii Community Development Authority. The time is now 9:31. I would also at this time like to introduce and welcome our new Kalaeloa board member, Mikiala Lidstone, who is our business representative on the board. Welcome, Miki, and thank you for serving.
Morning, Member Lidstone.
I don't see her video.
Member Lidstone, can you turn on?
Oh,
there she is.
Welcome.
Aloha. Sorry, slow Wi-Fi here in Kalaeloa. Slow Wi-Fi. Aloha.
That's not HCDA's fault.
All right, great.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair. In accordance with section 92-3.7 Hawaii Revised Statutes, the Hawaii Community Development Authority is holding today's Kalaeloa board meeting virtually on Zoom. The Zoom link details were included on the meeting agenda. Therefore, members of the public are welcome to join us on Zoom and also at our physical meeting site at the American Brewery Building, 547 Queen Street, second floor boardroom, Honolulu, Hawaii, 96813. The HCDA communication staff is hosting this meeting. Once this meeting begins, everyone will be muted for clearer audio. Board members, if you have any comments or questions, please unmute yourself to speak. It is important that all individuals clearly state their name each time prior to speaking. If you wish to provide oral testimony and you're attending virtually, please indicate so by clicking the raise hand button found on the Zoom screen. If you're attending in person, you'll be called to the front of the room in the order that you signed up. All testimony will be limited to a maximum of 3 minutes. Your testimony must be related to an item on the agenda. Before you begin your testimony, we ask that you identify yourselves and spell your name for the record. When 1 minute is remaining, I'll call out 1 minute remains. When 30 seconds is remaining, 30 seconds remain will be called out. When time is elapsed, time will be called out, after which you will have 30 seconds to conclude your testimony, and then your audio will be turned off. If you are attending in person, the presiding officer will call the next testifier. Keep in mind that this is an opportunity to share your thoughts with us. If you ask questions during your testimony, neither the board nor the staff is required to provide an answer. If your authority's connection for the remote meeting is lost, the meeting will be recessed till the connection is restored. If the connection cannot be restored within 30 minutes, the meeting will be terminated and the authority will continue the meeting at another notice date. Thank you, Chair.
HCDA board members, please remain visible and audible during the meeting. Also, please acknowledge that you're present by either saying here or present. Let the record reflect the following members are present. Vice Chair Higa.
Present.
Secretary Apo.
Present.
Member Miranda Johnson.
Present.
Member Anderson.
Present.
Member Strikes.
Present.
Member Evans.
Present.
Member Ray.
Here.
Member Lidstone.
Chair.
Eo,
Okay. Chair, I'm happy to report we have all 9 members.
Wow, I think this is a record.
We have all 9 members.
Welcome. Okay, for today's meeting, board members will have an opportunity to ask questions or provide comments after an agenda item has been presented. Individuals from the public who have requested to provide verbal public testimony on a specific agenda item are on standby and will be permitted to provide their testimony respectively. Item number 1, regular meeting minutes of June 5th, 2024. Board members, are there any comments or corrections to these minutes? If there are no comments or questions, the minutes are approved as presented. Item number 2, decision making. Consider approving pursuant to the findings of fact, conclusions of law, and decision in order dated February 2nd, 2022 for application number KAL 21-005, Gentry Homes, Gentry, reserved housing unit pricing and supporting analysis for increment 2 of Kaulu by Gentry, located on parcels TMKs 191, 013, 197, and 198 and 199 in the HCDA's Kalaeloa Community Development District. No postal address. Ryan Tam, Director of Planning Development, will now present the staff report. Ryan?
Good morning, Chair Shi, again, members of the authority and the public. Again, the staff report is in your packet. We do have the applicant here, Gentry, to answer questions as necessary. Just a brief summary, again, Ka'u by Gentry. Again, this is on the west side of Kalaeloa, along Roosevelt Avenue, at the just adjacent to the new VA Aloha Clinic. Again, the total project is about 390 residential units for increment. So the first increment included a total of 55 units. Increment 2 has a total of 49 units, including 36 market units and 13 reserve units. And overall, increments 1 and 2 represents about 27% of the planned build out for the project. Gentry is planning to price the increment 2 reserve units at $610,000 for a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom floor plan, and $685,000 for a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom floor plan. Again, this represents 124.4% of the area median income for the 2-bedroom, 2-bath, and 132.3% of the AMI for the 3-bedroom, 2-bath. On average, this is 130.5% of the AMI level and is below the maximum allowable of 140% AMI. Again, the current market values range for increment 2 range from 645,000 to 715,000. This is shared equity of roughly $30,000 to $35,000. Estimated maintenance fees are $330 to $410, and the regulated term is 5 years. Again, these proposed prices are approximately this unchanged from increment 1, even though the market values have risen slightly. And the AMI has increased slightly relative to increment 1. So again, the applicant is here if there are further questions or if they want to expand on this. So again, subject to your questions.
Ryan, I had a question for you. So I notated here that when I looked at this, they said you wrote down that Gentry noted that they only sold 4 out of the 12 reserve units.
Yeah.
In increment 1. So my question is, we approved 12 reserve units for increment 1.
Yep.
And I'm seeing that they're proposing just 4. Just how many? 4 units for increment 2?
No, 13.
Oh, 13
units.
Okay.
For increment
Okay. So I guess maybe my question is for Gentry more than for you, Ryan. So on that case, so you know, it looks like what is the sell through for the market unit, your price units for increment 1 in comparison to the affordable unit price homes?
Maybe I can
Yeah.
address that. So I'm Quentin Machida. I'm the president of Gentry Homes. Thanks for having us here. Chair Shi, Director Nakamoto, and board members. So as far as the market units in increment 1, we've sold all but 2 of the multifamily units. So there were 20 of them. We've sold all but 2. We have 9 actually 9 available now. One of the reserve units that were sold fell out. We have 9 reserve units available. And we're proposing to keep the prices the same for increment 2. But we are increasing the prices of the market units. So we are creating a larger gap between the affordable, reserve units and the market units moving forward. And we're hoping that that will create some incentive for the reserve buyers. It's been difficult with the interest rates being so high, but we're hopeful that that'll help with the sales.
And I guess, thank you very much for, joining us today. I guess when the board approved this, I think one of the questions that we were really discussing quite, thoroughly was about the reserve units and the pricing. And the concern was the gap between the reserve pricing and the market pricing. You know, I think it was like 35,000 difference, right? And so the concern was that, I know it fell within the approved AMI levels, but the discussion was that we didn't want a situation scenario that Gentry would then come back to us and say, hey, we want to now make these reserve units market units, right? Because our concern was the gap wasn't there, or that maybe we should look at more incentives for reserve units. And so my concern for increment 2 is similar to what we had talked about in increment 1, was for based on what your statistics were, you sold all of the market units, or at least, or in the process of, except 2, and yet now with the fallout, you have 9 reserved units available, right? And so, you know, I don't see a lot of that adjustment occurring on increment 2. But I don't know what that gap looks like. I know you said now we're looking at adjusting the market price homes in increment 2. So what are your plans going forward? I guess, you know, my concern is that at the end of the day, Gentry will come back again and say, hey, we have another 9 reserve units in increment 2 or whatever number it might be. And, you know, the reality is our approval was based on that we want to see more reserve units out there if possible, going forward. So kind of a long question, but.
Oh, no, I guess we would say that Gentry shares your concerns about the reserve units. We had originally, when the project was designed, we had our thought was to keep the reserve housing within the same buildings as the market and keep the finish level and general size. They're slightly smaller, but they're very comparable to the market. We thought that that would be beneficial to the buyers. Of course, we were looking at a much different economic environment. So moving forward, you know, initially the spread between a 2-bedroom market, our cheapest market townhome, and the reserve was about $50,000. With this next release, we're raising it up to, so the market 2-bedroom would be about $680,000, and the reserve will be $610,000. We're hoping that as that gap widens, that there's more. The payment difference on a mortgage for those products would be seemed beneficial enough for the reserve buyer to want to choose the reserve unit, considering all the restrictions that come along with it. I just say that there were some buyers in increment 1 that bought market units, even though they could have qualified for reserve. We hope that. Yeah, we believe it's a good product. You know, all of you been out to see it, and
I don't think we're questioning the product.
yeah,
I think really what is the gap, right? I mean, when I look at it, right, in today's generational support, with a 35, now you're saying it's more, but with a 30, when I was looking at $35,000 spread, in today's generation of sport, they can go to parents and say, can you give me 30,000? I won't have all these restrictions. And the gap was so close that it would seem palatable.
Right. And I think some of that did occur. Some people did opt for the market when they could have qualified for reserve. I think now it's a little harder for them because our lowest market price moving forward is about 70,000 difference. So if you both 2-bedroom and 3-bedroom. Yeah. And we're cognizant of that. We do typically raise the market units as we release each building. And so 70,000 the first building, it'll probably be 75,000 the next building, and so forth. We hope that will I guess we're trying to address what you're talking about, like having the benefit be big enough for the reserve buyer.
Okay. Members, are there any questions? Since we have Quentin Machida, the president of Gentry here.
Member Higa.
Member Higa.
A question for Quentin. Overall, the units in increment 2 are more expensive than increment 1. Could you comment on what is driving that price increase?
So there's a couple of things. Typically, we as developers, as we get the project moving forward, we'll have incremental increases for the project, and it's good for the buyers too. They see some appreciation as we move forward. We also have cost increases that we have to cover as we build the project out. So those two things, right? We have to cover costs, and we try to make it beneficial for other people who are buying within a Gentry project. The demand for the market units are quite a bit greater. And so that enables us to increase some, even though the market is pretty, it's not a robust market, so we have to be very careful. We're covering costs, but there's a pressure for us to keep it down based on competition and what's available on a resale. Anyway, I hope that, Sterling, that answers your question.
That's helpful. And one more question, Quentin, about that market absorption. At this point, what do you think is the timeline for finishing all of the increments? Obviously, that will change depending on market conditions, but what would your estimate be?
Based on our current conditions, it's about 2.5 to 3 years.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Higa. Any other questions? Member Evans.
Thank you. Quentin, hypothetically, if there wasn't a reserve housing agreement in place and you could price all of these at a market price, would the price on the market units be lower than you're proposing, seeing that you're trying to satisfy the reserve housing agreement?
That's a complicated question. It seems simple, but the market units would probably not be priced lower. Given our current market condition, the cost for development is raising faster than sales prices at the moment. So our prices for the market we would be trying to increase the prices just to cover the cost.
Are you saying that you won't be able to cover your costs with the reserve housing agreement in place?
Oh, no, I'm not saying that. The margins are thin, but we are covering the cost of the units, at least currently.
Okay. And the 5-year restriction period, just for my information, will that then take off all the restrictions for the workforce reserve housing?
Oh, there's a 5-year restriction for conveying the unit. But there is a continued shared appreciation attached to the unit that doesn't essentially go away until the unit is sold.
And when it is sold, the subsequent buyer, if they're paying a market price, doesn't have a shared appreciation obligation?
Correct. No, that's my understanding.
That is correct.
Okay. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Member Evans.
Thank you.
Member Strites?
Thank you, Chair. I'm trying to get a better understanding of those unsold reserved units. So we were talking, about the gap between that price and the market price. But I was curious if you're seeing any hesitancy of potential buyers opting instead to go to the market because of or within the different sizes. So, for example, like families, buyers that are looking for a smaller unit, opting more so to go to the market versus families looking to buy a larger unit at the reserve price because of maybe they're not worried as much about like having to move up the housing ladder as their family grows. Are you seeing any of that at all?
So we have two reserve type units. We have a 877 square foot 2-bedroom and a 3-bedroom that's close to 1,100 square feet. I don't think we have enough data to be really clear on that. Generally speaking, somebody buying a 2-bedroom market, our 2-bedroom market, on the other hand, is about 1,000 square feet. 3-bedroom is roughly 1,200, so they're not really that big a difference between the market and the reserve unit in terms of square footage. I think most people are just buying what they need at the moment. I don't really see any buyers in that situation you're describing, I guess.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Member Strites. Member Lidstone?
Yeah, I'm just curious if any of the power outages have affected construction or sales, or do you see it affecting potential construction or sales?
That's a good question. So Parcel 1, our project Ka'ulu, is powered by HECO. And so we're not experiencing some of the power outages that are under the old Navy system. We just got powered up within the last month. We don't see any issues with that. And as far as construction, a lot of times we're building off of a generator anyway. So yeah, we don't see any problems with that at the moment.
Thank you, Member Lidstone. Any other questions from the board? Oh,
Yeah,
right.
excuse me, Chair, I just wanted to add, one thing that the staff observed is that there are physical differences between the reserve and market units, right? So location of laundry units, for example, the washer dryer and the reserve units are located downstairs outside of the unit. So, I'm not sure to the extent that that's also a factor in the difference between the.
Yeah, so what Ryan describing is all of the laundry is located in the garages. So every unit has at least a single car. Most have single car, one has a 2-car. But all of the laundry is located in the garages, regardless of market or reserve. It's just that all of the market has direct access into the unit from the garage. The two reserve units, you go down the stairs and then you enter your garage. That's the difference.
Thank you.
Chair, me,
Sure. Director Nakamoto.
thank you, Chair. Just want you to, just wanted to kind of take off on something the Chair had mentioned. There were a number of incentives that, Gentry was providing in increment one. So I wanted to know if those, similar incentives were also being provided to the buyers. And then the second question related to that, and maybe this is something Mr. Hobson has to come up, but the second is, just given your experiences in, marketing for increment one, are you anticipating any changes in the way you market reserve housing units for increment two?
I can answer the first question. Thanks, Director Nakamoto. We are continuing to offer incentives. The incentives we provided in increment one equate to 3% of the sales price. It's a little higher than what we originally thought we would do. But given the interest rate environment, we thought it made sense so that buyers could buy down the rates and it'd be more affordable for them. In terms of marketing,
And 3% is the maximum that we can offer the buyer under the majority of the loan programs that these folks would be utilizing. So we can't give them any more. The seller.
Ms. Hobson, why don't you come up? It might be easier to just come up to us. First of all, introduce yourself and your title.
Okay, I'm Rick Hobson, Vice President of Sales and Marketing for Gentry Homes and that company broker. Thank you for having us here today. So yeah, the incentives, I can offer 4% if it's a VA buyer, given the majority of the financial situations and restrictions that we see the buyers coming in that are looking for this type of product. They usually don't have a lot of down payment money. So 3% on a conventional loan or which is 95% of them. And then every now and then we'll get a VA buyer that qualifies under the guidelines. And we could give them 4%, but our general rule is 3%. We are looking at, because of the inventory, the standing inventory, which ends up costing the seller money and maintenance and running the ACs. And it's just a cost once they start sitting there. We're looking at putting mini blinds in every reserved home. The homes that we have available, the majority of them are on Roosevelt, and it's a very busy street, and traffic is an issue. The buyer is much more picky nowadays about what they're going to buy. And so, as Quentin said earlier, we've had several buyers that could buy, but they just, they don't want to buy there on Roosevelt. So this new offering that's coming up, the buildings look into park-like settings and are a little bit more, a lot more desirable as far as a location standpoint. So this will be a really good test. We're adding mini blinds over here where the home is ready to go. You can have it right away, or you can buy this home over here that will be finished in November in a better location. We'll see how that affects the program. We're also going to shift our advertising to focus on reserved housing. And I sent an email to you asking for permission to include you guys in that and maybe a little mission statement about HCDA and whatnot, what you guys are charged with doing as the authority. And and we're going to change our KSSK with Michael W. Perry to talk about reserved housing. And the tagline is reserved for you. And I think, just making people aware of the fact that they're there and, if you think you couldn't, maybe you can now type of situation, come on in and let's talk about it. It isn't difficult, as Quentin said, at 6.75% to 7% interest rates is a very difficult environment. The payments are very high still. Even though you're buying a beautiful 2-bedroom with a single car garage, for $610,000, which is a great buy, given the, you know, the, current market. We just are having a hard time selling those conditions that are put on. But, you know, like I said, we'll see with the new location in the second release here. The new advertising, getting Michael W. Perry to, you know, tell folks about reserved housing and what that is, what that means. I think people think there's you know, more strings than there really are attached to it. It's not that bad of a deal, you know, it's a pretty good deal, actually, 5 years, not a big deal. So, we'll see how it goes, you know.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're
Thank
welcome.
you, Mr. Machida. Thank you.
Okay, members, are there any questions, other questions? Or comments? Okay, if not, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Do we have public testimony at this time? No public testimony? Okay, seeing that there's no public testimony, is there a motion for the board to approve pursuant to the findings of fact, conclusions of law, a decision in order dated February 2nd, 2022 for application number KAL 21-005 Gentry Homes, Gentry Reserved Housing Unit Pricing and supporting analysis for increment 2 of Kalaeloa by Gentry, located at parcel TMKs 191-013, 197, and 198 and 199 in the HCDA's Kalaeloa Community Development District, no postal address. Do I have a motion?
Approve.
Motion has been made by member Ray. Do I have a second?
Member Opposed, second.
Member Poe seconds. Members, is there any further discussion on this motion? If not, I will ask Ryan Tram to take the roll call. Ryan?
Chair Shi,
Yes?
Vice Chair Higa,
Yes.
Secretary Poe,
Yes.
Member Miranda Johnson,
Yes.
Member Anderson.
Yes.
Member Strites,
Yes.
Member Evans,
Yes.
Member Ray,
Yes.
and Member Lindstone.
I,
The motion passes with 9 ayes, no nays, and no excused.
All right, thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda, the monthly report and other status reports. Executive Director?
Yep, thank you, Chair. The Executive Director report is in tab 3 of your packets, and I want to just highlight a couple items in the Executive Director report. Under the permit section, we did issue a improvement permit to Hawaii DOT Airports Division for the Millionaire Fixed Base Operations. And I want to thank Charlene Okawam for her work on it and the planning department for their work on the permit. It allows the fixed base operation to proceed in Kalaeloa Airport. In the Roman numeral 2A, I wanted to highlight the good work of our asset management staff and Lindsay in clearing out areas where there were trespassing and on our properties in the Kalaeloa district. I also want to acknowledge the help of the state DOT in helping with the cleanup and trash removal. So member Miranda Johnson, just want to thank your staff for the work. We couldn't do this, I think, without assistance from DOT. So again, good interagency help in moving that. So thank you very much, member Miranda Johnson, for your staff's help in that.
Thank you.
Chair, that's it for me.
Okay, members, are there any questions or comments on the Executive Director's report? If not, is there any public testimony?
None, Chair.
Okay, so thank you very much. This concludes our meeting for our Kalaeloa. Trying to find my section here.
Concludes the business for today.
Yeah. Thank you for those who joined us in Zoom or in person. This concludes our business for today, and the meeting is now adjourned. And the time is 10:06. Thank you.
Mahalo.
Thank you.